The room fell silent so quickly that even the soft hum of the air conditioner seemed loud. Hundreds of employees sat around polished tables inside the bright glass-walled conference hall. Laughter had been flowing all afternoon during the company's annual team gathering. The atmosphere was light, cheerful, and full of playful conversation. Then the CEO smiled, pointed toward the quiet single father sitting near the back, and jokingly asked when his last date had been. Nobody expected the answer. The man slowly looked up from his coffee, met her eyes, and said something that stopped every heartbeat in the room. He said his last date was right now. With her. For a second, nobody laughed. Nobody moved. And nobody knew that behind those simple words was a story filled with loss, sacrifice, loneliness, and a love neither of them had seen coming. Before we begin this heart-touching story, please take a moment to like this video, comment below, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to the channel Heart Kindness Story if you believe that life sometimes gives second chances when we least expect them. The morning sun poured through the towering windows of Vantage Dynamics, one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the city. Employees hurried through the lobby carrying laptops and coffee cups while digital displays flashed quarterly achievements and upcoming projects. At the center of this successful company stood Maren Whitlock. At only 38 years old, Maren had become one of the most respected CEOs in the industry. Newspapers called her brilliant. Investors called her fearless. Competitors called her unstoppable. Yet very few people knew how lonely she truly was. Her life was scheduled down to the minute. Board meetings. Investor calls. Business trips. Conferences. Success had filled her calendar but emptied her personal life. Meanwhile, 3 floors below the executive offices worked a man almost nobody noticed. His name was Rowan Hale. Rowan was a systems analyst known for arriving early and leaving late. He never joined office parties. He never lingered around break rooms. He rarely spoke unless necessary. To many co-workers, he seemed distant. The truth was much different. Every morning before sunrise, Rowan prepared breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter, Elara. He braided her hair despite never having learned how until necessity forced him to. He packed lunches, washed uniforms, checked homework, and rushed her to school before starting work. 5 years earlier, his wife had passed away unexpectedly after a sudden illness. One ordinary week she had been laughing with their daughter. The next week she was gone. The grief had shattered Rowan's world. For months he could barely function. But every time he wanted to collapse under the weight of his pain, he would see Elara looking at him with frightened eyes, searching for reassurance. So he kept moving. Not because he was strong. Because she needed him. Years passed that way. Work. Parenting. Bills. Responsibilities. Repeat. His friends slowly stopped inviting him out. Relationships never happened. Dating felt impossible. Every spare moment belonged to his daughter. And somehow he never regretted it. One rainy afternoon, Maren happened to notice Rowan through a conference room window. Everyone else had gone home. The office lights were dim. Yet Rowan sat alone at his desk studying reports. Curious, she asked human resources about him. The answer surprised her. They explained that Rowan consistently delivered some of the best work in the company. He never sought recognition. Never asked for promotions. Never complained. He simply showed up every day and did his job exceptionally well. Maren found herself noticing him more often afterward. She noticed how he always seemed tired. How he checked his phone between meetings. How he smiled whenever a photo of his daughter appeared on the screen. One evening she walked through the parking garage and spotted him kneeling beside a small bicycle. His daughter stood nearby. The chain had slipped off. His hands became covered with grease as he fixed it. The little girl laughed when he accidentally smudged dirt across his face. For the first time, Marin saw him truly smile. It was warm, real, and unexpectedly beautiful. Something about that moment stayed with her. Weeks later, the company announced a Family Appreciation Day. Employees were encouraged to bring spouses, children, and relatives. The event transformed the corporate campus into something almost magical. Food trucks lined the courtyard. Children chased bubbles through the grass. Music floated through the air. Marin walked among the families, greeting employees and shaking hands. Then she spotted Rowan and Alara. The little girl wore a bright yellow dress and carried a handmade bracelet. Without hesitation, she marched up to Marin and handed it over. The bracelet was made from colorful beads. Crooked. Imperfect. Beautiful. Alara explained that she had made one for her father and one for the lady who gives daddy work. Marin laughed. Then something unexpected happened. The child wrapped her arms around her. It had been years since someone hugged Marin without wanting something in return. No business agenda. No professional expectation. Just simple affection. The feeling stayed with her long after the event ended. As months passed, Rowan and Marin crossed paths more frequently. Sometimes they discussed projects. Sometimes they exchanged casual conversations. Neither realized how much those brief interactions began to matter. For Rowan, Marin was unlike anyone he had expected. After several jokes and laughs, she noticed Rowan sitting quietly near the back. An impulse crossed her mind. Smiling mischievously, she asked him when his last date had been. The crowd chuckled. Many already knew he was a dedicated single father. Rowan looked surprised. For a moment he stared down at his coffee. Then he lifted his eyes toward her. The room grew still. And he answered. His last date was right now. With her. Silence swept across the ballroom. Marin's smile vanished. Not because she was offended. Because her heart suddenly forgot how to beat. The crowd stared. Nobody knew whether to laugh, apologize, or leave. Then Rowan stood. His face was red with embarrassment. But he continued. He explained that every meaningful conversation he had enjoyed in recent years had been with her. Every moment he looked forward to at work involved seeing her. Every time his daughter asked about his friends, Marin's name was the first he mentioned. He admitted that he admired her, respected her, and cared about her more than he should. The vulnerability in his voice touched everyone listening. Especially Marin. Because she realized she felt exactly the same. Tears formed in her eyes. Not from sadness. From relief. Years of loneliness suddenly had words. Years of hidden feelings suddenly had a path forward. The applause started slowly. Then spread across the room like a wave. Employees rose from their seats. Cheering. Smiling. Celebrating something more important than any business achievement. A few weeks later, Rowan and Marin had their first official date. Not in an expensive restaurant. Not at an exclusive event. But at a small daytime park where Alara fed ducks beside a sparkling lake. Sunlight danced across the water. Children laughed nearby. And for the first time in many years, Rowan allowed himself to imagine a future beyond survival. A future filled with happiness. Months later, that future became reality. Marin never tried to replace Alara's mother. Instead, she became something uniquely her own. A trusted friend. A mentor. A source of love and support. Slowly, carefully, they built a family together. One founded not on perfection but on understanding. Not on grand gestures but on daily acts of kindness. Years after that unforgettable company gathering, Rowan stood in a garden surrounded by friends, employees, and loved ones. Alara walked proudly beside him. Marin waited beneath a canopy of flowers. As they exchanged vows, many guests remembered the joke that had changed everything. A simple question. A simple answer. And a truth neither had dared speak aloud before that moment. Sometimes life hides its greatest gifts inside ordinary days. Inside quiet conversations. Inside unexpected friendships. And sometimes the person who changes your life is standing right in front of you while you are too busy carrying your pain to notice. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Heart Kindness Story for more emotional stories that remind us of the power of hope, love, and second chances. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness creates miracles," if you believe one act of kindness can change someone's entire life. Rowan once believed his story had ended with loss. Marin once believed success could replace companionship. Both were wrong. Because sometimes the most beautiful chapters begin after the pages we thought were the ending. And on a bright daytime afternoon, in front of everyone they knew, two lonely hearts finally discovered that love had been quietly waiting for them all along.